Everybody needs to know how to make some good old-fashioned American barbecue ribs, and this video will release the secret sauce to just how this is done. Even better, this will show you how to get some of the best ribs you'll ever put in your mouth in just 45 minutes. My favorite style ribs are Tennessee style, dry rubbed and saucy. I also like a little heat, but you can leave that out of your recipe. Sauces and rubs are unique to every individual, so come up with your own. This is just what I came up with after a lot of trial and error, and most everyone says it's as good as they've ever had. Did I mention just 45 minutes? Let's start with the sauce. Like most Tennessee ribs, it's tomato based. Let's keep it simple. Get out a saucepan that'll hold at least 8 cups of liquid, or about 2 liters from my European friends. Before we crank up the heat, let's add 2 cups of ketchup, 1 cup of vinegar, a half cup of water, half cup of Captain Morgan's, a half cup of Jack Daniel's, half cup of brown sugar, a half cup of white sugar, 1/4 cup of molasses, and a half a tablespoon of liquid smoke. Put this all in the pan and put it on medium heat. Some use a spoon, but I like to use a hand mixer. Mix everything together. If you've got a spice grinder or something similar, I like the Ninja Master Prep blender because it's quick and small and has a lid to contain everything. All right, now we're going to add our chipotle peppers to this. The way to do that is this. A little bit of the sauce. Transfer it over here. Good enough. Yes, you're going to make a mess doing this. Now add 2 chipotle chilies, canned in adobo sauce. These are basically smoked jalapeno peppers in a wonderfully spicy sauce. After you get those 2 peppers, don't forget to add a little of that special sauce. Grind it up until it's fine, and then add it back to the sauce. Now add 3 tablespoons of ancho chili pepper and 1 tablespoon of pepper. Mix it all up again. Once you start to get it bubbling, turn it down to low heat and just keep it on a simmer for about 30 minutes. This will reduce the liquid and cook off the alcohol, which will thicken. This will make about 3½ cups of sauce. Now on to the main event, the ribs. Remember, I told you this is a 45-minute recipe, and I meant cooking time. To make this happen, I use a soak to break down the fat in the ribs. I use a small cooler for this. Add in equal parts of vinegar and water. I use the gallon containers. For this amount, I recommend about 5 or 6 lemons. Juice the lemons into the vinegar and water, and throw the rest of the lemon into the mixture. This will work with about any amount of ribs, but I get the pack of spare ribs over at Sam's and they come 3 to a pack. I'll typically cut them in half so that they fit nicely on the grill and then drop them in the soak. Leave them there for about 2 hours. I typically go to 3. The longer you go, the more the vinegar you'll taste and the more they break down. Don't worry about keeping the liquid cold. This is a ceviche type process that's like a marinade and a cooking process all in one. All right, you can see that this ceviche process with the lemons and the vinegar kind of cooked it to change the meat color. And then this here, rib rub, my secret blend here. Put a bunch on there. Rub-a-dub-dub. This stuff right here pretty much breaks down all of the fat. So these ribs won't be so fatty. Getting hotter in there. Almost time. Use a grill where you can control the cooking temperature. I like a Kamado style grill. In my case, the green egg. Bring up the heat to about 500. We're not going to cook them at that temperature. We're only getting the grill hot. When the meat goes on, you'll need to dampen it down to 275 to 300 degrees. Now place the ribs on the grill bone side down and set your timer for 30 minutes. Make sure you adjust your grill so that the temperature stays between 275 and 300 degrees. At 30 minutes, flip your ribs meat side down, making sure that you move the ribs around so that the ribs that didn't get as much heat end up on the hot spots and vice versa. All right, let's see where we're at. Yep. And light colors. Set your timer for 15 minutes, making sure that the temperature is where you want it. After the 15 minutes, place the racks on your cooking sheet or baking pan. This is what perfection looks like. You got a little bit of that bone sticking out here and there. Things starting to shrink up on there. The meat surface on the rack of ribs is small, so you can let them rest a few minutes or not. By the time I get my ribs to the kitchen, I'm usually hounded by a pack of wolves that I call my family, so the cutting process is more of an immediate thing. Cut the ribs exposing the bone side towards you and the exposed bones upward. All right, this is after 45 minutes. When I'm cutting it tight to the bone. Right there. It's going right there, down there from the back. What I'm looking for inside here is white, maybe even just a little bit of pink on here. And this is after 30 minutes bone side with the bone side down and 15 minutes with the meat side down. So I'll let it rest for just a second or two. See, that has got just almost a pink glaze to it. This is your final product. And with that rub, putting it on there like we did, kind of good and heavy and rubbing it in, sauce is optional. Although, sauce is right here. This is the sauce we just made up, so all this will be fresh tonight. If you got your heat setting right, you'll have something that will be white inside with a slight hint of pink. I said hint. You don't want undercooked pork. But a slight medium is safe and very tasty. You'll see these ribs are mostly a glistening white. Your end product will depend on where you set your temperature scale that I gave. I usually like to serve the ribs dry with the sauce on the side. With a good rib rub, you won't even need to use sauce. There you have it, ribs in just 45 minutes. These aren't fall off the bone ribs, but more of a pork chop type consistency, which I like. They won't be fatty at all. Enjoy.